At long last, it is finally time to redesign the next character in my Sea Creature series. This one is the Angelfish, and honestly the most dramatic redesign I've done so far. It's pretty much a complete overhaul of her original design. Now, even when I designed her originally, she wasn't my favorite. In fact, she was probably my least favorite of the entire series, and looking back at the original design, I still think she is the weakest character design of the bunch. She was supposed to be like the cool, popular girl of the school, but clearly I had no idea what a popular girl was even like. So I kind of just threw together outfit pieces that I thought were popular or cool, and honestly, I don't even think they were considered that cool at the time, and they're definitely super dated now. And they just don't really go together. This outfit is a little all over the place, I have to admit. So I knew for sure she would be getting a completely different outfit, but I did try to nod to a couple of the design details in her final look. I also knew I wanted to keep her hairstyle the same because the pointy look and long ponytail really does give a similar silhouette to the long fins that angelfish are so well known for. As for her character, I changed her from just being the popular it girl of the school to now being an idol to go along with my starfish character Stella. I think I'd mentioned in Stella's video that I wanted to make a few more idol characters to go along with her to create kind of a complete unit, and the angelfish just seemed like the right character to do that with. I kind of went into this redesign with no prior planning. Like, I knew I wanted her to be an idol, but that was really about it. So I was starting this outfit with no idea what it was gonna look like. I knew with her personality, it made more sense for her outfit to be a little more sleek and slightly mature compared to Stella's look. So I decided rather than a big voluminous skirt, it would make more sense for her to have a fitted skirt or shorts. And then I played around with a few different top designs to go along with that. Of course, she needs frills or something flowy or cutesy to push the idol side of her, but with a few more cool details as well. She's definitely the mature one of the idol group, maybe a bit more serious and potentially even a little bit saucy, but she also has a little bit of a temper. Angelfish do tend to be pretty territorial, so it makes sense that she might snap at people a little bit at times, but also maybe she's kind of protective of the other idols, so there's a bit of a positive side to it as well. I also changed which kind of angelfish she's based on, because as I eventually realized, the type of angelfish that I originally took inspiration from is actually a freshwater fish, and we want these all to be sea creatures. So I picked a saltwater angelfish to base her off of this time. I went with the queen angelfish, which is a pretty popular angelfish that has very vibrant yellows and blues and sometimes some greens, so her color palette changed quite a bit in this new iteration. Making her a fish called a queen though seems really fitting. I gave her this big ring around her ponytail because it kind of looks like a halo, referencing the fact that she's an angelfish, and at the same time, it looks quite a bit like the spot that queen angelfish have on their forehead, which also totally looks like a little halo on their head. Based on the way I drew this character originally and what I can remember from my thought process behind her, she really didn't seem to understand the concept of fun. She seems just cold and serious and definitely had this kind of cranky, almost angry look to her in the original art, and I ended up with a character that looks much more perky and positive. That wasn't really my intention per se, but considering I was making an idol, it just kind of worked out that way. This definitely makes her far more endearing and, to me, a much more interesting character. I'm just far more drawn to the idea of a girl who's popular and cool, but also has some softness to her and knows how to have fun. And maybe she is still a bit vain and self-absorbed, but she has positive traits as well. She looks after others around her, and I can see her kind of being a leader, the most outgoing maybe of her bunch. This was definitely the toughest one to draw so far, both because I had really a very loose idea of what I wanted to do with her, and also because my hand was just not working perfectly this day. Usually I try to avoid using undo as much as possible in this style because I want it to have a more loose and sketchy look to it, but I found myself redoing lines a lot during the line art process for this one because they just weren't coming out the way I wanted them to. But I pushed through because I really wanted to complete this whole redesign in one sitting. I was determined. As much as I'd love to show you guys a perfect, smooth art process, you can take this as a little positive reminder that art is just not always a smooth process, and that's totally okay. If you're struggling a bit with something on any particular day, it doesn't make you less of an artist or less skilled of an artist even. Even art gods have bad art days. Although I wouldn't say this was a bad art day in the sense of how the final result turned out. I actually think she turned out very cute, and I'm pretty happy with the line work and the fun expressive pose in the end. It just took a little longer and more effort than usual to get there. I was also watching Psych while drawing this, admittedly, so I was a little bit distracted because even if I've seen most of the episodes multiple times, somehow I still get sucked in when I'm watching it. If you've watched Psych, tell me who your favorite character is. Mine's actually Lassiter, but Gus is my second favorite. Despite the drastic changes in her design, I actually kept her face mostly the same. Obviously it's updated, so it doesn't quite look the same, and her eyes do have a little bit of a softer look to them, but I kept them pretty pointy to allude to the way they were originally, gave her pretty much the same eyebrows, and kept her little beauty mark. I also added a little earring because I just feel like she's the kind of character who would wear an earring, and she can get away with it as an idol, right? I gave her a little angel wing design on her shirt because Stella has a star on hers, and I thought this was kind of a fun way to make them match a little bit, and then they each have kind of a symbolic reference to their animal. I'm pretty happy with how her new outfit came out, to be honest. I can definitely see an idol character wearing something like this. The off-the-shoulder crop top is kind of like an upscaled or updated version of her weird little cold shoulder crop top from before. And then of course I replaced the asymmetrical double layer skirt with a pair of shorts that has a sheer layer on top that kind of referenced the silhouette of the asymmetrical see-through layer of the skirt in the original design. I also gave her tall-heeled boots, just like her original design, but changed the look of them a bit to match more with the idol fit and just look more congruent and honestly cooler, in my opinion. And then of course I couldn't resist giving her some asymmetrical length socks. I'd really like to have one more idol character to make them a trio, but I don't think any of my pre-existing characters really work well to complete the set, so I might just have to design a whole new character to go along with them. If you have any requests or ideas for what sea creature I should use for that new character, please let me know down below in the comments, and I might just end up choosing one of your suggestions. Of course, I'm enough of a fish nerd that I can figure one out if there aren't enough suggestions. I ended up giving the tall sock a gradient for two reasons. One being that the queen angelfish does kind of have this variety of shades that look like a gradient throughout the fish, but also because Stella also has a gradiented thigh-high sock on the opposite leg, and so it was a fun way to tie them together. I always have fun adding some kind of gradient or fade to a character's hair, and because this fish has such a variety of tones and values throughout its fins and scales, I had to make her hair more light, soft yellow on one side and deeper, closer to orange on the end. This color palette is really pleasing to me, probably because blue and orange are complementary colors, so they're pretty much guaranteed to work well together. And she just looks so bright, happy, and fun compared to the original design. Also, I don't know if this is weird, but this color palette kind of makes me think of the Blue Angels. I guess it also helps that she's angel themed and Blue Angels. If any airplane enjoyers out there agree with me, let me know. There are quite a few characters left in this series that I can redesign, but I'm also considering doing other objects or types of animals, like maybe doing a series of characters based on tea, or desserts, or some kind of inanimate object. I'm not sure yet what themes I'll use, but I just like the idea of humanizing random things and using that as inspiration for a character. And I can never have enough of designing characters. I also want to do a series of live streams where we design a character together. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely keep an eye out for my live streams. In general, live streaming is usually way easier for me to fit into my schedule than videos, which is why recently there have been more live streams than videos. I love doing these kinds of videos, and there are projects that I can do in this format that I can't really do as easily in live stream format, but videos require all the time it takes to record and then edit and then voiceover, and it's just a lot more effort than pressing go live and doodling for a couple hours. So even when I can't fit video creation into my schedule, I can usually fit in a few live streams. Although right now I'm waiting to be able to live stream in my space again because my apartment flooded recently and the floors are still being redone, but I'll keep you guys updated on when I'm going to be able to go live again. Returning to this series was really fun and refreshing. I kind of forgot how much I loved redesigning these characters. I just love the whole theme of them, obviously because I created a large cast of these characters to begin with, but also updating my old designs with my new knowledge and skills is really fun and a good exercise, I feel like, and really helps me see how much my design sensibility has improved over the years. It would be a little sad if it didn't, considering I am about to graduate with an art degree. On that topic, I'm working on some pretty cool projects this semester. For my advanced sculpture class, we can pretty much do any project we want as long as it's somehow related to sculpture. So I decided to try a project that I've been really wanting to do for a long time, but just haven't been able to motivate myself to try, and that is sculpting my own ball-jointed doll. Specifically, I'm making a doll of my webcomic character that I created last semester, and I'll be using her and her whole story for my senior gallery exhibition. That's one of the requirements for graduating. So I'm basically theming all of my projects right now off of this character and her story, so I can tie them all together and have a cohesive display. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. She's just such a fun design and character, and I love the setting I've created for her. It really feels like going back to my roots, creating this whimsical sci-fi character. Most of you probably don't know this, but my first really serious comic project that I started when I was about 11 was a sci-fi story that was a little whimsical and strange, but also had some serious elements to it, and was the first time that I really delved into storytelling and had a little more drama and intense storylines than just kids being silly, because my original comics were just a goofy, silly little stick figure character. I've started sculpting just the body shapes for the doll, and I'm already pretty happy with how things are turning out, at least for my first time doing this, and I can't wait to share the finished results with you guys. I'm already thinking about all the props and side characters I could make to go along with her. Of course, that was kind of an unrelated side tangent, so back to the character. She was originally just named Angel, which is a perfectly acceptable name, but I decided to change it to Angela. I just like that it feels a little more fancy, and also kind of reminds me of Angela from The Office, who's also a blonde who wears her hair up most of the time. Of course, their personalities are not at all the same, but it's kind of a funny connection. I think she turned out really cute. I'm actually super happy with her. There hasn't been a single one of these characters that I haven't been really happy with, aside from maybe the sea turtle. I don't hate her design though, she's really grown on me. That being said, I hope you like the new design and enjoyed watching the process of it, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for coming to my comfy little bear cave. Bye.